Hey, hey, and yeehaw! You know what Pat says. Hey, you know me, I'm making RV memories. And for in this video, I am so mad. Mad at these RV manufacturers for the way they're doing some of these RVs. Making it hard on us campers when you get to a campsite and you got to hook up your what? Your sewer hose. Now, I've told one of the guys at an RV show, I said, you know, whoever's designing these RVs must not be campers, or they would make them a little bit easier. And let me tell you why. I'm a little bit aggravated in some of the campers, why they put the sewer connections the way they put them, where they put them, and why do they put two on some campers instead of one. Whew. Oh, you can tell I'm all worked up. Woo-hoo! Yeah, I'm gonna show you some of the RVs that I found just here on the campground and how much trouble these guys are having to carry a 50-foot hose. Because you know, most campgrounds will put the RV dump, most of them, from the middle of the campsite all the way down to the end. Well, if you got a sewer dump on your RV that's in front of the axle, you're going to have a 50-foot sewer hose. Let me show you why. Well, you know how frustrating it can be when you first pull into your campsite. You know, you're trying to figure out where to park it, side to side, hum on back a little bit, no more over, go back, whoa, pull forward. You want to make sure your power cord's going to reach. Will the sewer hose reach? Make sure all the water hoses will reach. Yeah, take a look here. This is when we had our, this is one of the campsites we had with our motorhome. That was old Hillbilly the Second. Take a look at that. Our water hose was on one side, and boy, it barely did reach. Sewer hose was on the other side, and then the power cord sort of fell right in between. Both of them were barely long enough to reach, and that was a frustrating trip. And luckily we did carry that extra hose. And I started carrying that in the old first Hillbilly Hilton. This is a campsite we had in Pigeon Forge. And boy, if I hadn't had that extra hose, whoo, well, yeah, we'd just have to go out and buy one, but it was a little bit aggravating to have one that long. Whew, that's a long one right there. And with so many of the RVs having that sewer dump right in front of the axle, there's two things you'll always want to remember to do. Check the campsite when you're backing in and make sure to see where the sewer dump's at. Is it all the way at the back of the site? Is it up in the middle? Or is it toward the front? You want to make sure your water hose will reach. Make sure all the connections, especially your sewer hose, make sure it's going to reach all the way back. And to have a little bit of a fail-safe, you'll want to make sure you've got a long hose. Try to get you about a 20 or 25 footer. The newer hoses, the Rhino style hoses, they're collapsible. So they'll fold up in a good tight spot. So try to get you about a 20, 25 footer. Always carry you a spare hose to get you at least a 10, maybe a 15 footer. It'll fold up, it'll accordion up to a fairly small size. Let me show you as an example here on this camper. You can see his sewer dump is at the back and it is behind the axle. But now my argument's gonna only go so far because each campsite's gonna be different. Most of the ones we've been to have the sewer dump toward the rear of the camper. And that's what makes it, when you've got a sewer dump in front of the axle, it makes for a longer sewer hose. But it just so happens every campsite's going to be a little different. And as I say that, I am standing right over this one's sewer dump, and he would be about equal hosed either way where he's got a sewer. So this one's going to be okay. But as a rule of thumb, all the years that we camped, I always had to carry an extra hose. I had my sewer dump hose that I'll show you. I had put it right up beside my dump. And then I always had an extra hose that I would put in another storage, because you never know when you go get the one that you're going to have a good 40 or 50 foot span to drain, well, you know what. So it's that's the biggest pet peeve of mine, is having most of the sewer dumps, to me, should be in this area of the camper back here. Because most campsites have a sewer dump from the middle toward the rear. The ones in the front, oh gosh, my first Sprinter was way up in the front, and whoo, it's just, you know, one of those. The second thing that sort of aggravates me a little bit is when they put two dumps on the same camper. And it ends up, the poor guy has to have, and I did on my first Sprinter, we had to put a Y connector here. So then you got one sewer hose going probably to the black tank and to the rear shower. And this one, he hadn't got it hooked up yet. He's about to, because you can see he's got to have 4 or 5 sections to do it. His front section up there probably does the front galley, and he may have a half bath up there to do. But why in the world, why couldn't they have plumbed it to where he could have had only one sewer dump. It would have eliminated all of this extra hose. It would have eliminated his Y connector. So much easier, and I see this more and more. Here's one where the guy actually made a stand for his double connectors to come out to. It's more often than you think. I've walked around the campground just to do this video, and wow, there's more of them with 2 dump outlets than I thought. Doesn't make sense why they can't engineer it for 1 outlet. It's beyond me. It is a lot of extra trouble. Sewer hose is not something you want to spend a lot of time with on your vacation anyway. Now you're having to fool with 2 of them. You got to store 2 of them somewhere, and it's just woo, it's a lot of trouble. And let me tell you, please, 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 for your own good, get you a sewer bridge. Well, you can see here how it slopes your sewer hose. You know what's going through there. And you definitely want it to go that direction downhill. And that sewer bridge will help. If you just lay it on the ground, eventually somebody's gonna have to go out and sort of coax it all the way down to where it's gonna go down. But with the sewer bridge, it's gonna give you that pitch. If you want to put a little bit of a dip in it, some people will do that to keep what they call the sewer gnats. I've never had any of those, but they say put just a little bit of dip just before it goes into the dump. It sort of keeps any smell from coming up through. But I keep my black tank closed, so I've never had a problem with that. But the sewer bridge is just going to help. It's going to keep, like Pat said, everything going from north to south, and that's the way you want her to drain. And when you're storing your hose, I really wasn't a big fan of putting one in a plastic tub and sticking it in the storage compartment or in the back of the truck. I always like to put one in a storage tube. I made mine, so you can see here, I made it's just a 5-inch fence post, bolted it up under the camper, and that's a plastic piece of gutter that I slide up in there to slide the hose up into, so it makes a real nice piece there. You can see, you can take just that, any hardware store, you can buy that 5-inch fence post. You can actually bolt it to the top of the bumper, because some of the newer, the Rhino style hoses, the end couplings are a little bit too wide to fit up in your RV bumper, and that's usually where everybody always put their slinkies, is up in the bumper. But that 5-inch pipe, it'll store in there really easy. Oh, look what me and Glenna found. The sewer pig. Oh, everybody needs a sewer pig, only it looks a little funny. The sewer's going in the wrong end of the pig. But anyway, everybody needs a sewer pig. That's cute. Hadn't seen one of those before. Better get you a sewer pig. Yeah, now I'm not picking on the RV manufacturers. I'm just a little aggravated sometimes. But yeah, if you've got, we've seen a bunch of them here too. A lot of the RVs with the front sewer dump, it's just something you sort of have to, when you're picking out your campsite, sort of be a little bit picky if you can. Here at the beach, they book so much, you can almost reserve a site a year in advance. So be a little bit picky when you're choosing your site. If you know you've got a front dump, try to get you a campsite with the sewer dump up on the front side. And if your sewer dump's in the rear, then if you can find one that's sort of in the middle of the campsite or toward the rear, then you're in good shape. But if you can't be, if you got to get a last minute one, I always try to get you about a 20 or 25 foot sewer hose, and I always carry you about a 10 or 15 foot as a spare somewhere on there. Easy to find a place to put them, but you can never have too many sewer hoses, because some of these campsites, you never know where the sewer dump's going to be at there. So enjoy, and always keep your sewer hose close. Hey, we thank you again for watching our video. I hope you learned a little bit about sewer hoses and where the connections are, and when you're backing into your site, make sure everything's going to reach. Got to have your water and your power to reach it. You mainly want that sewer hose to reach exactly where you need it, because it's probably one of the most important ones. But I hope you learned a little bit. We had a lot of fun making it, and if you hang in there and punch that subscription button, you can join our little Making RVs family. We'd love to have you join our subscription there. Click on that like button if you like the video, and hey, leave me a comment. Tell me how many times your sewer hose have been too short, and if you got any more little sewer comments, I'd love to hear them, and everybody can read them for you there. But we enjoy making the videos for you, and like I say, click that subscription button. As me and Glenna will always tell you, God bless you, and we'll see you in the next video.